morning, everyone. My name is Garrett Walsh. I'm the product manager for the industrial controls and monitoring equipment here at nVent Thermal. Today, we're taking a look at the Touch 1500. It's a touch screen that we provide that can communicate to the NGC-40, Alexant 4010, and Alexant 4020 controller families. Right now, this list is the circuit list, and that's the default screen that you're going to see whenever you come up to a Touch 1500. That's going to give you a brief overview of what's going on with all of your circuits. Today, we're going to be looking at how to change the most commonly requested programming settings, as well as how to do some basic troubleshooting around the alarms. So the very first thing that you'll notice here is all of our temperature data for the three circuits we're communicating to today are in degrees C. For those of you in the US, or if your client would like, we can also change this setting very quickly to degrees Fahrenheit. What I'll do is go up here to System, go down to Preferences, and from here you can see I can change my language, I can change how long until the screen times out, and I can also select degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit. Once I change this, the program will automatically convert all of my temperature values. You do not need to convert those yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to degrees Fahrenheit, click OK, and you'll notice it's automatically converted all my values over here. Next thing we want to take a look at is how to change our set point values. You can see here on this circuit list, I have three circuits that I'm communicating to, HTC01, HTC02, and HTC303. The HTC3 is our three-phase controller. But let's say I want to change the set point for HTC01. First, I'm going to click here on HTC01, and there's going to be a set of buttons that show up beneath that. I'm going to select this Overview button right here, and that's going to take me to this Circuit Overview tab. This is going to show me just a deeper dive of what's going on with this specific circuit. So I have my control temperature values, my ground fault current, and my line current. This shows me both what the actual readings are, as well as what my alarm settings are. So high and low temperature alarms, high and low current alarm, and ground fault alarm, ground fault trip. If I want to change the set point, I'm going to click this Configure button down here. And now that tab has changed to Configure Device. So here is where you can configure all of your parameters for each of your controllers. I'm just going to show you some of the more commonly requested items here. So first you have your tag. By default, that's going to be named HTC01, but you can change whatever the circuit is called. You could call it by its heat trace ISO number, or by the line number, or anything else that you want. But here I'm going to change my set point under this control temperature. Right now I have a control temperature of 48 degrees, but if I want my set point to be 49, I change that value there and then hit OK. One thing that you should be aware of is the change is not made until you hit this Apply button down here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Apply. Once that's done, that is going to be reflected back on that circuit list. And just to double check, I'm going to click Circuit List to go back. If you give it just a second, that set point will change from 48 degrees to 49. So now the set point is 49 degrees. Going back to my Configure device, since I haven't changed anything, it's still here in this tab. So now I have, again, just a brief overview of the basic settings here on the left. This first column is for temperatures. Next, we have control modes. Then we have electrical. Electrical is where you're going to change your high and low line current alarms, as well as your ground fault alarm and ground fault trip alarms. The other thing that you'll see here is I have more columns over here. That only shows up if I have the advanced settings enabled. So I'm going to click this check mark. I encourage you to go in, take a look at some of these settings for yourself, or check out our programming guide on the Touch 1500. But the other thing that I want to take a look at real briefly is if I go down here to Miscellaneous and then go to Digital Input and Auto Cycle, I can see here what my auto cycle interval is. What you want to check for is make sure that you have an auto cycle enabled, and I would suggest 24 hours. What this will do is, as long as this auto cycle interval is set to 24 hours, the controller will turn itself on once a day to just determine if there are any alarms on the circuit. This can be hugely beneficial because it allows the circuit to test itself during the summer when the heat trace circuit may or may not be on. So this, ahead of time, as soon as there's an issue, you will get an alarm, which is a huge advantage over finding out that you have issues on your heat trace circuit on the first cold day of winter. So once you change that auto cycle interval, be sure to hit apply. I'm going to go back to that circuit list. The last thing I want to look at today is how we deal with alarms. You'll notice here HTC02, if I look over here in status, has one alarm. If I click that, it'll have these buttons down below, and this time the alarm button will be able to be selected. So I'm going to go ahead and click that now. What that did is that's taken me to the alarm list, except this is filtered by only the alarms on HTC02. So here you can see a brief overview of what type of alarms are going on with this circuit. First of all, we're HTC02. The type of alarm is a control temperature low, or a low temperature alarm. It has a alarm setting of 50 degrees, and it read a value of 47 degrees. So we're coming in just below our low temperature alarm set point. And then you also get to see when this alarm happened. So today is April 5th. This alarm happened just about 12 minutes ago. If I click this alarm, it gives me some options. I can click details to get more information about that specific alarm. I can click reset to reset this specific alarm, or I can click reset all, and that will reset all the alarms on HTC02. I can also go up in the top right and click alarm acknowledge. That's for when an operator understands that an alarm is going on with the circuit, wants to acknowledge it, and that turns the common alarm off for the panel because the operator understands that there is an alarm. If I were to reset this alarm right now, the circuit would immediately go back into an alarm condition because this setting, this low temperature alarm, is still in place. If you come across an alarm such as this, one thing that you want to do is acknowledge the alarm, treat whatever is going on with the circuit. So right now, if I have a low temperature alarm, I may have a section of insulation missing or something going on with the circuit. You want to fix the problem before you reset it, because just resetting this, it'll immediately go back into alarm. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to acknowledge my alarm up top. That's not going to reset it down there, but I'm going to change my value here so that the low temperature alarm goes away. I'm going to go back to my circuit list, and you'll see here the actual temperature was 28 degrees. If you give it a second, now it's at 81. You'll notice as soon as that temperature got above the low temperature alarm set point, the alarm automatically reset itself. So my name has been Garrett Walsh. Hopefully you found this helpful, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me at nVent Thermal. Thank you very much.